America's seeing its biggest protests in decades, and George Floyd's brother has made clear the demand.
Honor George and make the necessary changes that make law enforcement the solution and not the problem.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
But how do these protests across America translate into long-term change? What's stopping police reform in the US? This Washington Post headline cuts to it. It reads, "Protesters hope this is a moment of reckoning for American policing. Experts say not so fast." And the article quotes Lorenzo Boyd of the University of New Haven. He says, "We have 400 years of history of policing that tell me things tend not to change." And the heart of this is the use of force by US policing. We saw it in that horrific video of George Floyd, and we've seen it time and time and time again since. There are two interlocking issues here. US policing is violent. Statistics show you're 6 times more likely to die in police custody in the US than in the UK, and twice as likely as in Australia. And we know that that violence is disproportionately directed at African Americans. So what can be done? Well, you can try and stop certain types of policing. For example, chokeholds are banned in New York, San Francisco, LA, and now in Minneapolis too. But rules are often set locally, so a nationwide shift is harder to deliver. You need accountability. Al Sharpton turned to this in his eulogy at George Floyd's funeral.
Until the law is upheld and people know they will go to jail, they're going to keep doing it because they're protected by wickedness in high places.
Of course, not everyone would describe it precisely that way, but there's widespread agreement that better police accountability is needed. The problem is police forces have long resisted increased oversight, which brings us to police culture. Some argue there's no issue here. For those who see it differently, well, Minneapolis is taking the nuclear option.
Our commitment is to end our city's toxic relationship with the Minneapolis Police Department, to end policing as we know it.
Others want to defund the police, arguing that the root causes of crime are better addressed by shifting police money into social services. Joe Biden, though, doesn't agree. He says if he becomes president, he'll increase police funding, but with more strings attached.
No, I don't support defunding the police. I support conditioning federal aid to police based on whether or not they meet certain basic standards of decency and honorableness.
Maybe those strings will work, but powerful people within US policing don't see a problem with its culture.
Stop treating us like animals and thugs, and start treating us with some respect.
For better or for worse, the unions are certainly central. Here's Katty Kay.
Those who are calling for radical reform of the American policing system and an end to police brutality, particularly against African Americans, would like to bypass the unions, or would like to find a way to get the police unions not to have so much power in this country.
Next, there's the militarization of the police. US police forces have billions of dollars worth of military equipment. We've seen that in the last 2 weeks. But America is an armed society, and the majority of those killed by US police are armed. Any demilitarization of US police surely requires a huge shift in gun laws, and there's no sign of that. And then there's the president.
Sometimes you'll see some horrible things like we witnessed recently, but 99, I say 99.9, but let's go with 99% of them are great, great people.
Donald Trump sees himself as a law and order president. Pushing police reform doesn't really fit with that. There's one other thing. Look at what's happened to attitudes towards the Black Lives Matter movement. When public opinion shifts sharply like this, all sorts of political possibilities open up. But when I saw that graph, I thought of Al Sharpton telling George Floyd's family, "I'll be here when the TV trucks have gone." His point being, America's paying attention to racial injustice right now. Perhaps the biggest challenge for those demanding police reform is to keep it that way.